Hello, happy holidays! In my last video I talked about Digimon the Movie and how this is pretty much the only nostalgia I have for Digimon. Digimon the Movie has always been like the only anchor point of the franchise to me in my brain. But digging through my old stuff, I did find a couple of these metal cards. I think they're from Taco Bell. I could have sworn they said like TB and the card number on these, but I think I'm mistaking those for another set? I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, doing that video made me remember a lot of old Digimon memories. I even found like these. This is where the metal cards were. That these are from like a game, and I'm not sure what. I think this was from a metal War Greymon figure that I got at Toys R Us. Remember Toys R Us? And I remember playing some of the games. I played Digimon World, but I didn't own it. I did own Digimon Battle Spirit. That was a really fun fighting game, actually. And also, when I was a kid, I watched the show a couple of times, but I wasn't really into it like I was with Dragon Ball. Or even Evangelion, for that matter. Evangelion wasn't even on TV, but I was deeper into that than Digimon. Digimon has always been in the background of my fandom for me. I'm very casual with it. But I absolutely love the movie. The American movie, that is. And so when Discotek Media finally put out the Blu-ray of the first 3 unaltered movies, I jumped on the chance because it even included the HD remaster of Digimon the Movie. So even if I didn't like the original films, at least I had a really good Blu-ray of the American film. But that brings me to today's video. I'm going to watch the first 3 unaltered Digimon movies with the new English dub. From my understanding, the first movie is like an origin story, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect there because the first movie is only 15 minutes of the American Digimon movie. So I'm very interested to see what is in this movie, because I haven't watched any of them. I haven't even looked up plot synopses in the past of these movies because I'm just like, I'll watch them when I get to them, you know? I'm going to watch movie 1, and then I will come back and give you my thoughts, and then continue on from there. Well, no wonder it was only 15 minutes worth of footage in the Digimon movie, because Digimon Adventure Movie 1 is only 20 minutes long, with credits. Now, for the context of the runtime, a lot of these Toei anime movies, and probably a lot of like other production companies, to be honest, put out these theatrical films as part of a festival. So a lot of them are shorter, and that explains why a lot of Dragon Ball movies are like 40 minutes, because they do play with other films. I actually have this theatrical pamphlet of Dragon Ball Z Movie 6, as well as a Dragon Quest movie. So this was a double feature, and presumably both were around 40 minutes, which makes it around, an hour and 15, somewhere around there with credits. So combining movies with other properties kind of gives these other movies and anime properties a chance to have other people view the movie and kind of see for themselves what Dragon Ball Z is like, for example, if they've never seen the movie. Or if they've never played a Dragon Quest game, they can kind of get a feel for the story in this movie. But like 20 minutes? Damn, that's kind of short. But with that runtime, they execute a really cute, fun story that actually pulls on your emotional heartstrings. Now, I haven't had a chance to look up the context of this first movie in terms of like its canonicity. Like, is this part of the original story? Like, did they have a first encounter with the Digimon before they met them in the digital world? That kind of thing. I'm just kind of curious about that, kind of thinking out loud, because I haven't really done the research yet. Now, of course, when I reviewed Digimon the Movie, I talked about how the footage was absolutely beautiful. The remaster is great. So, of course, the original unaltered footage looks absolutely breathtaking. You can still see imperfections in the animation, which is great because it hasn't been like DNR'd to hell. There is DNR, it's been cleaned up quite a bit, but you can still see some hair and scratches and things like that. So that is really nice to see detail preserved in the film. and not be smeared away like the Dragon Ball Z orange bricks. I'm happy I watched it. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice 20-minute film. That being said, I kind of want to get into the dub a little bit. I do appreciate that the dub did keep some of the lines from the American Digimon movie. Totally didn't turn on my light that entire time, so I'm illuminated again. I'm not going to re-record that. But anyway, what I was saying was that I feel like the audio, I feel like the voice audio is much higher than the sound effects. I feel like the mixing could have been better. Speaking of mixing, both English and Japanese are in 2.0 stereo mixes, so you're not going to get a surround sound mix out of these movies. Yeah, when they put this movie in the American Digimon movie, not a lot was cut out. They added a lot of lines to fill up dead air. I actually kind of like some of the writing better in the American Digimon movie. This is a pretty dry dub, and I appreciate that because it is trying to be faithful to the Japanese version while being an English dub. I appreciate English dubs that try to be the same product, but also give a little bit of its own flavor. I did want to say that I think the art direction and the action direction are absolutely fantastic. Like, there's brief pauses after attacks to give you that impact of the gravity of what's happening. Like, this is pretty dire situation for these kids. And so it makes you gets you on the edge of your seat a little bit. And the animation is just beautiful. It's breathtaking. So to wrap up my thoughts on movie 1, it's very short, but I loved it. And it looks beautiful. Now that movie 2 is up next, that's the one I'm very excited for because it is my favorite part of Digimon the Movie. And it does include my favorite Digimon, actually, Omnimon. I wish I still had his toy. He was the coolest action figure. I also had War Greymon, and he was such a cool figure too. I really miss those. I don't know what happened to them. But once I watch movie 2, I will come back and let you all know how I feel about it. Alright, different day, new location, same hat. Let's review Digimon Movie 2, Our War Game. Okay, now growing up, I loved the Movie 2 portion of Digimon the Movie. So when I went into this, I was really, really hyped for it. I was expecting greatness out of Movie 2. It excelled my expectations. I can't believe how much I loved Movie 2. I didn't expect it to turn out so emotionally driven. The character development is so on point. I just couldn't believe how much better it was than how they adapted it the first time around. Because I feel like they really missed out a lot of the core emotional qualities and connections between the characters. I think the plot is really fun. They made it to where not every character of Digimon is the main character, but they get a few cameos, and the ones that are the main characters really bring that emotional aspect to the forefront. Sometimes it kind of pulls on your heartstrings a little bit because of how scary this is for kids to be dealing with this end of the world catastrophe. And they're the only ones that can save the world. They're the only ones that really know the depth of the problem. And a lot of the endings to the different plot threads and different stories that they were building throughout the movie are wrapped up in the end credit sequence through pictures, through a montage, you know? That's completely wiped away from the Digimon American movie because it's just the end credits montage. So unfortunately, they didn't adapt it. I wish they kind of put at least Sora's picture because of how adorable that turned out to be and how both Tai and Sora grew as characters because They were like children, obviously, and fighting over something so minuscule and stupid. And, you know, they had their feelings hurt for something so little. So it was really nice to see that storyline get paid off, because I didn't really think about it until I saw that. I'm like, oh, you know, that they didn't really pay that off in the Digimon movie, did they? One aspect that I wasn't too fond of, which was in the original Digimon movie, was when Matt just comes down to, like Tai does. I was kind of hoping for kind of like how we saw Tai getting sucked into the computer screen. I kind of wish we saw that a little bit with Matt, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, like it does in both movies. But it needs to happen so Omnimon can be created. And his battle sequence is even better in this movie. They cut out so much action. But what they didn't cut out was a lot of the dub lines. So many of the original lines that, you know, aren't corny or cheesy or like mess with the canon too much are still there. It's really nice to see that incorporated still, because it gives that sense of nostalgia still. You kind of are at home with this movie still. You're like, oh, well, yeah, that is the line. But not really, but it is for the English one, you know? I really appreciated that. And you know, it was something I noticed in Digimon Movie 1 too, that Tai's dub actor, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, but his voice is noticeably deeper. His acting is still good. That's not the problem. I can just tell from Digimon the Movie, you know, almost 25 years ago now, that this guy's voice has gotten deeper, and that's okay. You know, he's a grown man trying to play a kid, so it's not that bad, because it still has that teenage gravelness to it, but like, it's definitely not as high pitched as it used to be. But that's beside the point. Everyone in the dub does a great job, and I really appreciate how toned back the jokes were, because, you know, in the Digimon movie, you know, there's so many corny jokes, you know. It's the 2000s. A lot of them are funny in this movie, but I appreciated when they redubbed it, it was more faithful and, you know, less cheesy. Of course, it has all of the vocal songs, so that's really nice to have included here. And in the battle sequence, you do get an insert song, so that was really cool to have too. I mean, the Digimon American movie had its own soundtrack. You know, it had a lot of the TV show songs, but it also had a lot of new music for the soundtrack, because it had a bigger budget. So it was like, yeah, let's license some music out here and there, you know? So, I mean, it had All-Star by Smash Mouth before Shrek came out. How crazy is that? I do have the CD. Unfortunately, I don't have the case for it anymore. I'll take a picture of the disc right here. But I didn't bring it in with me for the recording. I'm a dummy. My point with bringing up the CD too is that also, when you take the disc out, inside is Digimon Movie 2, Our War Game poster. The poster's in the CD. So when I was a kid, I'm like looking at this, I'm like, wait a minute. This looks so much cooler than our poster. Why didn't they just use this instead of this crap? Whatever. All in all, I absolutely loved Movie 2. If there is one I'm going to watch over and over, I think it is going to be Movie 2. I haven't seen Movie 3 yet. I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to do an immediate reaction right now. But I can already tell that this will be my favorite. So yeah, let me go ahead and watch Movie 3, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Digimon Movie 3. Hurricane Touchdown. Has nothing to do with hurricanes or football. It does take place in America, though. This was easily the weakest of the three. I'm actually kind of tired now because it was a really long hour. Before I get to the comparison between this and the Digimon the Movie edit, I kind of want to talk about the uncut version first and say how... Why did the original Digidestin get kidnapped when it absolutely had nothing to do with the plot? It's literally the inciting incident of the plot, and it carries no weight throughout the entire thing. It's so inconsequential that you don't even see them get... spoilers. You don't even see the original Digidestin get out of that weird phantom zone or whatever that they got kidnapped to. It happens off screen. I did like the touch of Western music and blues. Since it takes place in America, I understand the motifs that they were trying to do in the music itself. However, once it got to the climactic battle, the music was so underwhelming. It did not fit at all, and a lot of the time it was silent. Like, what happened with this movie? In the middle of it, there's this weird intermission where it cuts out to, like a 10-second countdown to part 2. I'm not sure how long the intermission was in the theatrical version, but it's, don't get me wrong, it's cool that it's there as like a historical piece, but why was this movie split up anyway? It could have just continued. Nothing happened. There was no time skip. It was literally just the next scene after the intermission. This was such an odd movie. I can see how they had a really hard time cutting it for Digimon the Movie. I could see how they were struggling to fit this movie into the prior 2 films. So much so that the theatrical poster of Digimon the Movie has the original 6 Digidestin in the background of the poster, the older versions from Adventure 2. And they get kidnapped in this movie. And they're barely in it. So I think they realized that really close to release, and they cut it out, and it was already in the poster still, so oh well. They did cut them out for the home video release, so that was pretty funny. They knew. I just don't understand why they couldn't just leave them in. So that's really weird. It's really, really weird. But going back to the uncut film, like I said, I appreciate the music, but it was just overall very underwhelming. I would probably never watch this one again. I'm more so irritated at the fact of how boring it was. I didn't feel like I wasted my time because I needed to watch this, like this was, part of the Digimon film series. I don't regret using that time to educate myself. However, I am tired, I am bored, and I'm sorry that I'm leaving this video on a down note, because unfortunately it is the last movie of the trilogy, and I didn't like it. I really don't have much else to say about it because it's noticeably cheaper. The animation quality kind of went down. Like, what happened? I really want to know what happened with this movie. Well, there you all go. Those are my thoughts on the original Digimon movies. All in all, I'm glad to have gone down this lane. It's a little bit of a memory lane. It's a little bit of a new lane. And I walked out of it with a new film that I really loved, but also really disliked. So it was a roller coaster of emotions with these Digimon movies, but I did not regret my time with it at all. So thank you guys so much for watching. What are your thoughts on the original Digimon movies? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe for future videos just like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.